Hello and welcome. This is going to be an all signs reading for the next 48. So this is September 14th, so to the 16th. Interesting. We have Temperance and the Towers in those days. And we're dealing, I wanted to make this more of a tarot astrology video too because we have so much astrological energy going on right now. It's absurd. That's why I thought that I would wear my top hat and just embrace the absurd. And that's the best thing that I can say right now for everybody. It's just embrace the absurd. And especially because we have Mars, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Venus, Chiron, Lilith, the moon, all sorts of energies coming in together to create what I've been calling like Clash of the Titans. And what I'm noticing, especially more and more as Jupiter is going direct as we speak right now. Like it was a standstill yesterday after being in retrograde in Capricorn for 6 months, and we have a ton of signs in Capricorn too. And what that tells me is that a lot of us have been working on having healthy boundaries and on our standing in our truth, our personal integrity. And because Capricorn is the only sign that literally shows an evolution from being a deep sea dwelling creature to a land dwelling mountain climbing goat, it's about evolving us. It's like evolving us on a cellular level, and really, especially with the Neptunian, which is Piscean energy, and the Plutonian energy, which is Scorpio, we are being like, okay, as I said to a friend earlier, that your choice is that you can either walk through the door and do your shadow work, or you can be dragged through the mud. There is no will do it or won't do it. You're going to do your shadow work. That's what's coming up. And especially in the next 48 hours, but just in general, especially as we get closer to October when the veils become the thinnest and most people have a much harder time upholding the masks of what's going, of pretending that everything's okay. And what it's really, it's looking at what I can say, because I'm going to try to keep this video a little shorter, and I just saw 2:22 on my clock, is look for the things that you feel like you need to do that scare the crap out of you. Especially anything within relationships that feels like it kicks up fear of abandonment, or inadequacy, or fear of rejection, or like you're going to get blamed and scapegoated if you hold good boundaries, or like you'll have to do all the work. Really, really look at control issues, especially with the Saturn stuff in there and with Jupiter going direct while a whole bunch of planets are still retrograde. And we have a Mercury retrograde coming up too. So keep that in mind. Like if you keep avoiding having good boundaries, you're gonna have a heck of a time coming up. It's right now you have the opportunity, especially if you start in the next 48 hours, to really get some healthy roots growing to where you're not going to feel so unstable when the rest of the world is feeling just like, they're trying to avoid doing their shadow work and being drugged through the mud through it. And trust me, if you can, you want to be on the calmer, more grounded side of that. But it's coming either way. It's not, it's kind of spirit saying, ready or not, here I come. And most people have been praying for this in some way. They've been praying to feel healed, praying to feel prosperous, to feel like they're not overgiving or hypervigilant or codependent or things like that, and that they want focus. They want to be able to focus on what feels good, and be able to handle contrast and conflict a lot easier and a lot better. And we are getting that. We're also getting towards a place of equality, to neither judge nor be judged, to feel like we're doing it right and doing enough even when we're screwing it up. And especially kind of this energy of like Jiminy Cricket, like let your conscience be your guide, let your heart be your guide, and don't always take in what the 3D says. Like if people that you typically know very firmly are good people, and who have good honor, and if they're acting, I'm going to say narcissistic, like they're totally, out of bounds and doing stuff, recognize that what you know is true. When you feel good about what you're feeling, that is the truth. When you feel icky about what you're feeling, that is not the truth. So, like, say you feel like somebody's scapegoating you for something, check in with your body. How does that feel? Check in with your mind. Does that feel like crap? Most people, it does. That means it's not true. that means that it doesn't align. Now, if you feel kind of neutral or you feel kind of guilty, maybe look at that. Like, are you doing something that, you should be more accountable, or maybe you need to change a couple of behaviors? Either way, give yourself grace. You've been doing the best that you can with what you knew how to do in the first place, because that's the other thing. Give yourself grace and give others grace, but make sure you give yourself at least as much as you give to others, if not more, because a lot of this is also learning self-care. And I guarantee you, as this energy continues to come in, especially when we get more towards the blue moons in October and when we get towards the next Mercury retrograde, with Uranus retrograde, and Saturn's going to be going direct soon, which actually means increased karma and increased limitations. If you are holding on to old codependent behaviors and habits, and you're not facing that stuff that scares you and having healthy boundaries, standing on your own, not because you have to or because you feel like there's no other option, but because you want to and you feel good in that. If you're not doing that, oh, I don't envy being you. Let me just say it that way. In any case, if you're wondering what's coming ahead for you, I do personal readings. I do them by donation or tribute only, so nobody's turned away for lack of funds. I leave my email in the description box below, so feel free to reach out for that. I've been getting a lot more readings lately, though, so I appreciate you for your patience. Anyways, let's see what's coming up for all of us in the next 48 hours. Ooh, goodness sakes, look at that first card out. The Devil reversed. Which I really like. This is my Alice in Wonderland deck. I love this Devil card. It's very like, in fact, I think in the book it calls it the Jabberwocky. But it's very, I mean, you notice the darkness all around there, and like Alice is trying to fight. This is in this particular deck, it's very fighting your inner demons. But it's also, it's Capricorn card and it's Saturn. This is karma, and this is facing your inner demons, reaping what you sow, taking accountability for the stuff that we've not wanted to take accountability for. This is like skeletons coming out of the closet to be displayed, and it's karmic energy coming too. Like, this is the time, especially as we get closer to the season of Capricorn, that you're going to start to see either the rewards of, well, you're going to see both the rewards of the things that you've done good, and you're going to see the consequences of the things that you've not been doing good. Now, the nice thing is too, like, okay, so I'm seeing two timelines. If you've been doing your healing work and you've been facing your shadows, or at least you're starting to right now, then what this means in reverse is that you are going to be breaking free from toxic codependent relationships. And I know a lot of people are actually doing that right now, and especially because C19 has brought us to a place to where we don't have all the same freedom and distractions that we used to. You have to actually see who it is you've been in relationship with, in friendship with, how you've been as a parent or a child, or whether or not you take on responsibility well with schools, with work, with things like that. And this is, it's, if you've been doing, it doesn't mean you have to have been perfect, but if, like, let's say more than 50% of the time you've been doing your shadow work, you've been facing the uncomfortable feelings, you've been dragging your own skeletons out of the closet and owning them, then this is you breaking free from limitations and toxic relationships, and that's going to be really, really awesome. If, on the other hand, you've been avoiding it, which there's no judgment there. We all have moments like that. But if you've been avoiding shedding light on the darknesses and not embracing your darknesses, not embracing the absurd, you've been running away from accountability, then this is an increase in the toxicity going on around you. It's an increase on the limitations. And because it's tied to Saturn, that means an increase on limitations money-wise, career-wise, an increase on awareness of fatherhood wounds, inappropriate father behavior, having your worst fears brought up and reflected at you. This is a great card for what I was saying in the beginning, that either you can walk through the door with your head held high and your chin up and face the shadows with intention, or you could be dragged through the mud, and it's going to be done either way. Saturn is very much like that. Whereas Jupiter is like Big Daddy, Saturn is like, Big Granddaddy, and Granddaddy don't play. You're gonna pay the piper. I'm going to pull another card, but for right now, yeah, it's interesting. Five of Pentacles right there. And Five of Pentacles reversed is... I mean, Five of Pentacles upright in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, what we see is we see two beggars in front of a church, and they're out in the cold and out in the snow. And what I always find interesting is that, like, the feminine in it, you know, she looks like she is very stable physically, but she's got more coverings and more warmth and stuff going on, whereas the masculine figure in the card has got like crutches and one foot tied up, and yet he doesn't have a blanket or nothing. He's got his head bandaged and everything, and it generally feels relevant in that is like, you know, when you're feeling like things are not going good for you and you're feeling like you're in a poverty mindset or an impoverished situation, actually one of the best things that you can do is look behind you and see how you can be charitable to others, just to be charitable. You know, I mean, there is some selfishness and charitableness in that it feels good to be charitable, but don't do it for any other reason than that it feels good and you know that it's helping you clear, you know, old negative karma and stuff like that. But it's definitely a good time in the next 48 hours to look at, even when my world feels like it's chaotic, how can I give back? You know, and how can I give back to those who really do need it, as opposed to those who act like they need it? Because in reverse, this can often be like victim narcissism, and that can either be you acting that way, or you could be tied to somebody who is acting that way, and it especially has to do with money. And I'm getting the sense that because the devil is in there and the Five of Pentacles, that anybody who has been hiding behind money as a means of security, which can really affect masculines or even feminines who are in masculine energy, or anybody in toxic masculinity, it can really have an effect on you, because what Saturn is doing is taking away that comfort. If your work has been really busy, it's not going to be anymore. If you had everything in your wallet and now it's disappeared and you can't have access to money, it's bringing that up. If you had a really stable financial situation for a while, but you didn't save any money or anything, now you're going to start seeing the bills increase and things pile up. If you have not been, you know, if you've not been facing emotional stuff, family stuff, and your shadow work, and you've been able to do that because you've been like being a workaholic or focusing on money, or even if you haven't been doing that, but if you feel unstable when your financial situation is not good, Saturn's bringing that up so that you can work on that stuff. And yeah. All right, I'm going to pull one more card, and then we'll make this a short video. Oh, okay. Well, we got a couple, but I'll take them. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we got the Nine of Wands in reverse and the King of Pentacles. Oysters in there. Isn't that very interesting? And because he's the white rabbit, I do get the sense of some fertility coming up. And I've been seeing a lot of rabbits lately. And if you see them, it likely actually means that abundance is coming towards you. And it's also good. You can check in with the goddess Eostere, whose symbol is the rabbit. But also it suggests the rabbit totem is like listen and learn to know when to pivot, and also be aware. I mean, you're a prey animal in this moment. You might have some predatory energy around you. Some of this could even be, if you're in the twin flame journey, or even if you're not, like karmic energy coming towards you. It could be somebody trying to unjustly like scapegoat you or trigger you or things like that. And we have justice on the bottom now too, so it could definitely be that they may be trying to tie you up in legal matters, and keep you in balance, keep you feeling like the only way to feel good is to stand on your head all the time. And if they can keep you busy with chores and legal stuff and contracts and things like that, then, you know, they might even gaslight you into feeling like that is what life is supposed to be like, when it's really not. I really love that he's got the scales up on his feet up there, though. This, to me, is also some of that embrace the absurd energy, and it's because it's on the bottom of the deck. That's our shadow work, you know? Embrace the absurd. All the stuff you've thought that you didn't, that would be backwards to face or that would cause the worst possible things, those are the things that are actually going to bring you comfort right now. You know, they're going to bring that. And because we have, so now we have these guys, right? We have the Devil reversed, the King of Pentacles, and the Nine of Wands reversed. And it's interesting, too, because this, to me, represents the Chiron and Aries retrograde that we have going on. It's the Nine of Wands is the wounded healer. It's the part in us that once we learn to heal our own traumas, we're actually able to help others learn it, and spirit will bring us people who have those same challenges. So then, like, you know, they'll come to us for confessional, so to speak, and we have the experience that we could say, well, this is what worked for me, might help you, and usually you see that it does. But because it's reversed, you might have a fair amount of people coming towards you in the next 48 hours that don't have really great boundaries, and they're triggering you, and you're I'm gonna say that this is mostly us all learning to have financial stability, but I'm also getting the sense that this is somebody who's really learning to embrace that Capricorn energy that we have going on in so many planets, and even when things are chaotic, even when things are toxic, they're learning to free themselves. I want to say, like, I mean, this affects feminines too, because it's not really gender, it's energy, but I have a feeling if you identify as feminine, that this is more likely going to be a masculine figure in your life who is learning to have emotional stability, financial stability, and spiritual stability, and not to over focus on materialism, but to also to appreciate the value in it, to appreciate the times when it's like this, you know, when it's passionate, when the boundaries are good, when you're feeling healed, you're, you know, even when you're a little bit tired and you're kind of going on. This can also be some of that, like, last man standing kind of energy. So what I'm sensing is that in the next 48 hours, there's, especially if you are masculine, or you know of someone who is, you're you know, involved with somebody who is a masculine energy, they are likely to have some really chaotic stuff going on that's really testing their boundaries, their feelings of victimhood, some, like, covert narcissism, father wounds in particular, their ability to communicate clearly. And it's because a lot of them have been sitting in a comfort zone, either in toxic relationships or just in, you know, in toxic dynamic to themselves or their old wounds, and spirit is breaking them free of that, whether they like it or not. But what's nice is seeing this within the next 48 hours suggests that you will likely hear from them, or if this is you, you will start to feel much more stable when you intentionally focus on and embrace the healing and the releasing of things that do not serve you, that don't make you feel good, and that are toxic, and you face having those boundaries. Now, interesting, because I know that I shuffled, because this was the hot topic before when I pulled just that devil card, but this is the Knight of Cups. So we have some water energy in there, but it's in reverse. So this suggests to me that, like, an emphasis on romantic relationships and creativity and healing. And because it's in reverse and it's the hot topic, it's likely that the hot topic is going to be relationships. And especially anyone who's been kind of in that, like, trying to be the knight in shining armor, or, if, you know, on the other side being the damsel in distress and things like that, like the cups getting kicked over. There might be some messages that are supposed to come to you that are delayed because of this, but just feel, you know, kind of do the King of Pentacles energy, just feel secure, have faith, know that they're coming. But this is, you know, this could even be some amount of arguments, especially with that Nine of Wands and Devil card energy in there. But it's going to result in justice. I mean, that's our shadow work. So either way, justice is coming. Now, that can mean, like, for some of you, if you've been on, you know, if you've been avoiding accountability, that could mean that you come in on the crappy side of justice. But more than likely, if you're watching this video, because this is an upright, it's likely that justice will be coming to you. You might not necessarily see it in the next 48 hours. I think for some of you, you will. You'll start really seeing it. You'll see some communications coming. You'll see, let's see what's in the heart of the matter. Oh yeah, look at that page of flamingos. You're, which is page of swords. So, in fact, I'd imagine somebody who's been keeping an eye on you, or who you've been keeping an eye on, who has been delaying romantic communications, is either they're going to show their hand, and like it's probably, for some of them it's intentional. They may be showing you that a relationship that they're in is not actually going the way that they presented that it was before, or they may, because they're feeling chaotic, they might kick up some energy with you, but it's likely because they're a little bit envious if you're doing well and you're doing your shadow work and stuff. Yeah, look at this. 8 of Cups in reverse. Somebody is leaving an unstable emotional situation. Could be you, could be them. 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, that's kind of a Dom sub card too. Like somebody is feeling controlled and manipulated in a negative way, and like they are overgiving, especially financially. And it's likely, especially with this Piscean energy that's going on and all the Neptune and Pluto energy, that they're starting to see the truth of this person's. Yeah, an Ace of Wands in there. So like a lowering of like sexual attraction, creativity. It's likely that communication will not be all that inspiring, but it will help. And we got the 10 of Swords in there, so a lot of you are going to be like done with certain situations, and you're going to see you and or the person you're focused on having an ascension of thinking. Like the 10 of Swords is being done with being stabbed in the back and being ready to really have healthy boundaries so that you're no longer stabbed in the back. Wow, yeah, look at that. 3 of Swords in reverse too. What I'm getting the sense of is that a fair amount of you, I mean, if you're in a third-party situation, you're going to be seeing that ending. And if you've been waiting on somebody who's in a third-party situation, that's going to be ending. You, like I said, you might not see it exactly in the next 48 hours, but it is happening. And yeah, especially if the person you've been waiting on has been like a doormat and been totally walked on, because that's what this energy is coming in to help them stand in their truth. But notice it's not the King of Swords in there. In fact, this is funny. So behind that 3 of Swords, look who showed up, the King of Swords reverse. That's narcissistic behavior, like masculine narcissistic behavior. The nice thing is that 3 of Swords in reverse, like in upright, that's betrayals. But in reverse, it's reconciliation. It's an owning of the ways that we have betrayed others, or somebody owning to us that they have betrayed us. And especially with that 10 of Swords in there, it's kind of nice to see those together as kind of a progression. Let's see. Queen of Cups, 4 of Swords, ooh, the Magician, the Fool reverse, the Ace of Hats, sorry, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords. Yeah, I'm seeing, yeah, okay, that's good. There's some, okay, for a fair amount of you, you're going to have a feminine figure in your life who acted like they were very, very good with money, or if you're waiting on someone, and they acted like they were, they presented in the beginning like they were going to be really stable, emotionally good mom, they're good with their resources, good and do all that, but actually they were really, really bad with it, and they weren't even all that great at hiding it, and they get really, they become big bullies, like earth sign, unevolved earth sign bullies, when they don't get what they want. And as you start to pull away towards more healing energy, or the person you're thinking about, they start to cause more chaos, make you question your choices, they play on your own anxieties, and they basically, like, this is a manifested situation. Especially if you're the one in the third-party situation. But if it's somebody you're waiting on, recognize that it's a self-made prison that they manifested. They probably aren't even fully conscious of it. They're still kind of in poverty mindset, but they're having an emotional breakthrough, and they're not quite ready to admit the truth fully. They're still kind of got some of that mask on, because it hurts to it. It hurts to admit that you made your own bed and you made your own mess, and especially if you left somebody that was really good good for you. You feel like you were a naive fool, and that you were madness. But all of that is helping us, like by showing us the contrast of what we don't want and we don't like. It's helping us to manifest what we do like and what we do want. And so there's going to be a little bit of a rest period, kind of like if you're feeling especially tired, or you've noticed that like kind of a lull in communication from somebody you're waiting on, it's kind of spirits kind of putting them to sleep a little bit, even not necessarily like real sleep, but it's keeping them quiet. It's doing kind of a spirit surgery on them, kind of anesthetizing them to do a lot of big work that they were not formerly open to, but they are now. And it's likely because they've been healing motherhood issues, probably with the person that's that Queen of Pentacles reversed energy. And if you're a feminine person if you're very psychic, if you do tarot readings, if you've been working on your empathy skills and being an empath and just being a good mom and being a genuine person, but not being codependent, you are probably providing a very good example for this person. And that is part of why they are choosing to heal, especially from fatherhood issues and where they've had bad boundaries. But they might actually be a little bit cold towards you, or still at least hold back their energy a little bit. And for others of you, they might actually be very reactive and very cold, because they're actually a little bit envious. And some of them, it's mostly because they recognize that they screwed up and that they hurt you and that they need to reconcile. But first they have to get their thoughts straight. And especially if they're in a third-party situation that has a lot of things in it, like maybe they've presented to the world, to their job, to their family, to their friends, that like you were the scapegoat and icky person, and that they were doing all good, and that their life was all rainbows and roses. Now they have to admit they've been stabbed in the back, they made a wrong choice, they did some betraying themselves. But it's good because they're getting to that emotionally mature